What's going on, friends and neighbors? Sean Dinner here from the Peterson Real Estate team. Hope you are having a fantastic summer and enjoying it as much as possible, with all things considered, of course. What we're going to dive into is the South Mississauga communities and what happened in the month of July in terms of real estate. So I'm going to flip over to my screen and we'll get right into it. You can see here on the screen that I've mapped out the South Mississauga communities, everything south of the QEW. So we're going to go in order of lowest price points to the highest. So let's dive right in, starting with condo apartments. So looking back at July, we can see there's 22 units that have sold. I'm going to switch over to the stats here. 706 and some change on average, the lowest price being 505, the highest being over 1.7. 21 days on market on average here, with the lowest being 2 and the highest being 55 days on market. Now, something to consider when we talk about averages, and especially when we're looking at such a small sampling size with only 22 units. When we go down the list here, we can see that these three are over the million price point. I mean, 1.2, 1.4, over 1.7. So when we take those out, all things considered, those are your luxury condos. They're not your average home type that we would that we're talking the majority of. So when we look at the stats, we're looking at 586. Let's call it just shy of 587 in terms of an average selling price point. So just something to keep in mind when we're talking about that. There's going to be those few luxury items that skew the average. All right, let's jump into condo townhomes. 21 condo townhomes sold in the month of July. Let's take a look here. 856 on average, lowest being 587, high of 1.6. 15 days on average being on the market, low being 2 days, high being 82. One thing to keep in mind when looking at the days on market, they don't include 0 days for some reason. So it's not 2 days, it's actually 0 days. So literally the same day the property hit the MLS, it was sold. So things do happen fast, and we see this quite a bit. So something to keep in mind, again, when we're talking averages. All right, next up, let's go to freehold townhomes. We can see 3 freehold townhomes have sold, ranging from 1,052,000 up to 1.8. Days on market, 368 and 6 for those. Coming up next would be the semi-detached homes. The semis, we can see that 7 sold. 7 semis, say that a few times fast, right? 7 semi-detached homes sold in South Mississauga. We can see the prices here, $875,000 to $2 million for one of those brand new builds over on Maple, and that was sold the same day it came out as well. When we look at the stats, that gives us an average of over 1.1, 7 days on market being the average. So really interesting to see that. Next up, of course, the most desirable, most common property in South Mississauga being the detached home. So let's pull that up right now. 42 homes sold in South Mississauga in July. Can you believe it? And we can see here, I'm just going to quickly sort by days on market. 1, 2, 3. 3 sold the same day they came out. 3 1 day on market. You can see they moved pretty quickly. There's always going to be the odd one out that sold or takes longer to sell than the average. Speaking of which, let's pull up those stats. Average being over 2 million for a detached home in South Mississauga. Low of 925, high of over 4.7. Again, those high-end numbers skew that average quite a bit. 20 days on market. We know that 0 days is the lowest and the highest, 135 days on market. There you have it as far as the average price points and days on market. What I also want to share with you is the listing to sales ratio. So we keep a close eye on the number of listings coming to market and the number of sales, because that gives a really good indication of supply and demand and where prices are going to head. So you can see here that since March, which so far has been the peak of 2021, we've watched listings come down, and so have sales, so the buyer demand. The big thing I want to point out was that in March, 51% of homes sold, which is huge for South Mississauga. Normally we're talking 30, 40%, and this is something a lot of agents don't talk about, and I don't know why. These are facts. There's no other way around it. Not every house on the market sells, which is a huge misconception among many people, agents included. And so again, 51% of homes sold in March during the peak. and we can see that come down 46, 45, 40, 38. So July, we are seeing, all things considered, a more normal market as we head into August, where things usually settle before ramping up again in September after the kids have gone back to school and families have had a chance to settle down once everyone's situated. It'll be really interesting to see what happens the next couple of months. All we know is what has happened in the past, so we can make the decisions going forward. So if you have any questions about your specific area or maybe other areas of the GTA, I'm happy to look that up for you, get that information out to you. If you're considering buying or selling, simply let me know. We can set up a confidential meeting, no obligation, of course. We want to make sure that we're a good fit for each other before going any further. So send me a message, we can get that set up and chat about your real estate goals. Thanks so much for watching. I truly do appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next video.